So I've been wearing Lululemon for about 10 years now, and I've had this video on my list for quite a while, and I've avoided it until now. Hey team, welcome back to another Levi Save the World Hildebrand episode, the channel where we prove that you don't need to be a hero to save the planet. Today we are going to be talking about Lululemon and whether or not they live up to the hype that they have generated around their brand. Lululemon is a Canadian company headquartered out of Vancouver, British Columbia, which was a city where I spent a lot of my formative years. I bought my favorite pair of sweatpants that I wear to this day from one of their very first ever male lineups of clothing. So as I mentioned before, I really want to like Lululemon. I love the products that I've owned from them. Leah has a bunch of great pieces that she's enjoyed as well, and I don't know, I always want to vote for the local team, you know what I mean? I also happen to know that I'm not the only person that feels this way, because here on YouTube, there is a freaking boatload of videos of people talking about their Lululemons. Now, before we get into the brand breakdown for this video, I think it's important to show you the pieces of Lululemon clothing that Leah and I have and our experience with them so far.
This shirt, one of the last videos.
It's been a while since Leah was in one of the videos.
I like this shirt.
Are you excited to be in this video?
Hi everyone. Yeah, I'm excited.
Okay, let's get into it.
Okay.
Now, before we get into the specific pieces of clothing that we have, I want to ask you a favor. Apparently, only 40% of the people who watch my videos are subscribed to this channel. If you enjoy the stuff that you are watching here, then it might be an easy thing for you to do to hit that subscribe button, ring the little bell so you make sure all the notifications are on, so that you can keep enjoying amazing content from Leah and I.
Yay!
All right, let's get into it. Now, Leah and I were never like the fashionable people in our friend group, but we bought Lululemon because we recognized one thing about them: their quality.
Here, oh look, I have a pocket. Oh, now I have a weird boob. Nope. So I first started buying Lululemon when I actually worked at a yoga studio. So we got, I think it was like 10 or 15% off all of their different Lululemon products. So that's where these three shirts are actually all from. So all three of these tank tops, they've lasted really well, like no pilling or anything else. And yeah, for a decade worth of wear and like sweating in, that's pretty impressive. The next thing that I've had for quite a long time is this pair of leggings. I've had them for about 5 or 6 years, but the original ones that I bought, they had tried out like a new fabric and it pilled almost immediately. These are my joggers, which were actually a gift from my sister and my brother-in-law, and they're just super comfy. And the last pair I actually found this summer at a secondhand store in 100 Mile. A, there's a really good secondhand store in 100 Mile, and B, they had Lululemon leggings. I was kind of shocked.
Why do you look mad at me now?
Because you saying it just because you want me to feel better because my head hurts? No,
You did a really good job though.
I know.
I know.
These are, I think, the oldest pair of Lululemons on this bed right now, and they are the first lineup of male clothing that Lululemon ever made, and they are lined sweatpants, which makes them extremely warm during the winter time. And honestly, it is incredible how well these pants have held up. Like, there's some minor wear and tear, but I wear these literally every single day for at least half of the year. Very happy with this pair.
You fold pants so strangely.
Why?
I mean, I've been trying to tell you this for years, but you go this to this and then over again. That is how you fold a pair of pants.
Comment down below. Which way are you supposed to fold pants? Because apparently
Not
I don't
your
know.
way, not like
This is not what he did.
basically what you did.
It looked exactly this. Oh my
No,
god.
it does not.
I got these Lululemons from a lost and found at the yoga studio that we both volunteered at. There's literally no damage. There's no wear and tear. I can't see anything that's gone wrong with them. They aren't up with the fashion because they're a little longer than shorts are today for men, but for what I use them for, they're still incredibly functional. So Lululemon is a very popular company, but they've also had some very unpopular moments in the past, mostly because of this guy.
Some women's bodies just actually don't work for it.
The company's founder, Chip Wilson, appearing to suggest it's his customers who are the problem.
Really about the rubbing through the thighs.
Now, I'm not going to make this entire video about Chip Wilson because he's not the owner of the company anymore and he's not even the chairman or the CEO. However, he is the largest shareholder with 9%. So it's important to say that if you're supporting Lululemon, a significant chunk of that support goes to supporting him, and he's a douchebag. Here's a quick list of some of the blunders he's had in the past. Number one, he basically just said that his clothing was not made for people who weren't in shape. He essentially advocated for child labor at one point. Reminder, this is the guy who's living in a $64 million house in one of the most expensive cities in North America. He named his business Lululemon because he thinks it's funny that people from Japan can't pronounce it very well. And he has said that birth control and smoking are what causes divorce. But as I mentioned before, we are not going to be judging this entire business based off of one delusional rich white guy. So let's break this down through the equilibrium. Or, as you guys know it, now, for those of you who don't know what the equilibrium is, basically it's the three criteria that I believe that any modern, forward-thinking, progressive company should have moving into the future. The first being quality. As mentioned before, Lululemon makes really good products generally. They've had some slip-ups in the past, which they've corrected, and overall, we've had an amazing experience with them. We'll have to see in time how long the new clothes today last, but if the past is any indication of the future, they make good stuff. But any good product is not going to sell unless they have the branding to back it up, and that's where Lululemon really excels. The world of athleisure clothing did not exist previous to Lululemon. They're basically the Kleenex of athleisure wear. Kleenex, facial tissues, Lululemon, yoga pants. Do you see what I'm saying here? Up until that point, athletic clothing was baggy or unremarkable or really crazy spandex back in the 70s. So a sleek, form-fitting, fashion-savvy version of your athletic wear was incredibly popular. Lululemons are functional and sexy and now fashionable outside of a yoga studio, even to the point of becoming a bit of a joke. Now we could get into the politics of what Lululemon has done for beauty standards, for women in an industry that's largely dominated by men. But problematic or not, it has built a multi-billion-dollar empire. And part of that success is down to the fact that people believe that they are a better brand overall. And I think that we assume that that quality and that attention to detail goes beyond just the products themselves. And unfortunately, that's not the case. Number three, sustainability. From an environmental and ethical standpoint, Lululemon has nothing to back up the claims that it makes on its website. There's no third-party verification, there's no donation programs like 1% for the Planet or certified climate neutral. This whole section of their website just felt like an assignment that was handed in late. One of my favorite parts is the section names that they chose for their impact agenda. We have Be Human, which is about their ethical labor practices. Be Well, which is about their social impact programs. And then Be Planet, which feels like the answer to a question on a test that you knew you weren't gonna get right anyway. Like, be planet? Like, be better to the planet? Or on top of this, their sustainability commitments were not very progressive at all and incredibly vague in most cases. We commit to developing a water strategy by 2021. Wait, I'm sorry, you're planning to make a plan by next year? We are committed to finding the best reuse solution for our products. We're working on it, guys. Don't worry. All the cotton that we source will be from responsible platforms by 2025. Now, 2025 aside, I know startups that are literally called organic basics. How is it possible that a multi-billion-dollar corporation can't find organic cotton? Okay, now most big corporations like Lululemon have something like this, a impact agenda or report, which outlines the commitments that they are making to make their practice better from a social and environmental standpoint. And Lululemon is a great example of how these documents can be very misleading. So I was going to break down every section of this document here in this video, but instead I'm going to get into something called corporate social responsibility. I promise you, it's not gonna be as boring and lame as it sounds. Just bear with me here. Corporate social responsibility, or CSR, is a practice well understood within the corporate world, and this impact report is a great example of how Lululemon has done theirs. In this document, Lululemon talks about how they're going to benefit the planet and the people that they are associated with. Unfortunately, most of these social programs become less about doing public good and more about elevating their social profile as a company and taking advantage of business write-offs. For example, check out Lululemon's Here to Be social impact program. Their Here to Be program is basically all about empowering people of different backgrounds and socioeconomic situations to practice yoga. Now, I'm not saying that this program does not have value or that it doesn't have an impact, because very likely it does. Lululemon claims to have donated $14 million to over 500 partners. Maybe the people in these programs have had life-changing experiences because of the infrastructure that Lululemon provides, but I can't help but think that those communities might have used $14 million a little differently had it been up to them how that money was spent. Now, this is a difficult line to balance because on one hand, it's better than nothing. Lululemon is actually giving back to their communities, whereas without this corporate social responsibility ideology, they wouldn't have done anything potentially. But I think we really need to question and be critical of these massive corporations and these very rich individuals and the philanthropy that they promise on their terms. This would be less difficult to swallow if they had some kind of third-party verification. See, as a 1% for the Planet member, 1% of my total revenue for the entire year is donated to a nonprofit of my choice. They guarantee that the nonprofit in question received that money in order for me to be a member. They've also vetted those nonprofits to make sure that they are operating ethically and that they're actually creating the impacts that they promise to be doing. And let me remind you, they are a multi-billion-dollar business. If they wanted to, they could do all of these things very easily, but it's almost as if they care more about their bottom line than the workers who make their products and the earth that their company relies on. The reality is there is enough clothing manufacturers in the world. There is way too much clothing on this earth already. We don't need companies that are doing anything less than as much as they can for everybody beyond their bottom line. So that is the end of my TED Talk here today. If you are interested in hearing my opinion on things beyond and within the world of sustainability and the brands that participate with it, I have a monthly secret podcast where Leah and I talk in depth about the subjects that we talk about here on this channel every single month. So if you want to support what I'm doing, there is a link down in the description of this video. But regardless of your opinion on Lululemon and their ethical practices, I want to thank you for watching this video, for taking the time out of your day to spend some of it with me, because I really appreciate that. And of course, if you are subscribed to this channel, then we will see you in the next one.